Max.
Peach, knock it off.
Max.
Come on.
Maximum. Maximum.
On October 20th, 2022, the FX show Atlanta released an episode called The Goof Who Sat by the Door, a fake 35-minute documentary about the creation of the Goofy movie, or
the blackest movie of all time.
We learn about its creator, Tom Washington, how he ascended to become the CEO of Disney, and how he used that power to dedicate himself in creating this statement piece of black art during the aftermath of the Rodney King riots. We get statements from those closest to him about his creative process and how his past influenced his approach in creating his magnum opus. But over time, we see the toll this process takes on Washington. He becomes so engulfed in creating this movie that he begins to lose everything, from his creative control, his family, and eventually his mind.
I'm close. I'm close. I'm so close.
It comes to the point where he's no longer Tom Washington, beloved animator and family man. He is now Goofy.
He did this chilling laugh. Like Goofy, but broken. And it was terrifying, man. He really thought he was Goofy.
As Disney starts pushing back and cutting certain moments from the film, Washington is shown the final cut of the Goofy movie and reaches his breaking point. After viewing the screening, he took off and drove his Chevy Impala into the bottom of the lake where he took his son fishing. The body was never found. Only a few articles of clothing, of which belonged to the titular character of the movie he had destroyed his life creating. This is one of the funniest episodes of TV I have ever seen. It strikes that perfect balance between genuine heart and authenticity with little sprinkles of bullshit to let you know it's just satire.
You see my knees? You see this angle of these knees? Draw this. Get this down, okay?
This is something that genuinely stands on its own as an incredible mockumentary, and it's one of those episodes that only this show could pull off. I think Atlanta is one of the best shows of the decade, certainly one of the best comedies, and a huge reason why I put it on this pedestal is because of episodes like this. People often criticize seasons 3 and 4 of this show for its overabundance of these anthology episodes, and I completely understand why. Darius, Ern, Al, and Vanessa are exceptionally well-written characters who we spent years growing to love. To have significant chunks of the later series not spent with them is justifiably confusing, and to some makes it borderline unwatchable. But after its ending and taking some time to reflect, I definitely appreciate their existence a lot more. Because I don't think Atlanta's primary focus was ever Paperboy making it to the top of the rap game or Ern's progression as a manager. It was always first and foremost about pushing boundaries and simply telling the best story at that particular moment in time.
I just wanted to tell stories. At the end of the day, like, all of this really is about, like, you know, stories. Like, I'm like, who can tell the best story? Who has the best ideas?
Atlanta was never a super linear story, even in the early seasons. It was never a series known for its intricate plot lines and narratives. Its whole appeal was exploring different aspects of this surreal world through the eyes of these characters and creating compelling stories. Some of the best episodes from these seasons were ones that contributed next to nothing towards the main plot. Look at episode 7 of season 1, BAN. Half of this episode is commercials.
The Dodge Charger, the official car of making a statement without saying anything at all.
The other half deals with a young man dealing with his struggle of being transracial.
I'm a 35-year-old white man.
And that Montague interview with Paperboy is absolute gold.
Isn't a lack of a father the reason you hate trans people?
What? Lack of a father? Man, you hear yourself? Shut up.
The reason people like this episode is because it stands on its own without the need to progress an already loose story. It allows for a complete experience within those single 21 minutes. The Dodge Charger commercial isn't just a one-off joke. We see it slowly build until it's revealed that the driver is actually going through a divorce and the only thing keeping him sane is this car.
The Dodge Charger. keep it in the divorce.
The transracial bit isn't just funny because it's a black man acting white, it's the hypocrisy he shows after appearing on the interview and blatantly calling gay and trans people abominations and not normal.
A man wanted to turn himself into a woman? That's just unnatural, and I don't think we should have our kids thinking that that's okay.
These are moments that not even the best sketch comedy shows can emulate because it interweaves all of these different beats together over a longer period of time to make these punchlines even better than they would otherwise. Atlanta has never shied away from the untraditional. Its surrealist nature and approach to speaking on black culture is what makes the show stand out. Stephen Glover said that above all else, he wanted to use this show as an outlet to create black fairy tales. The ethos of Atlanta has always been doing what other shows can't.
I remember writing this on like a whiteboard that we have. I just wrote in big letters like, do what others cannot do. We're watching all these shows and I'm like, what can they not do that we can do? And just moneyballing. Let's show you how engaging we can be.
How can we use our platform to speak on issues of cultural appropriation, identity, and racism in a way that only we can? I truly respect Glover for staying true to the show's philosophy and, instead of conforming, taking the unconventional approach of being yourself more. Season 3 and 4's anthology episodes were just that natural final step in fulfilling this show's vision. Because even though they may not add to the narrative in the traditional sense, what they do is reinforce several of the show's themes from a different perspective.
There was so much happening in the world, we were like, let's just condense it down into like small stories that speak to a larger problem.
Just look at the 9th episode of season 3, Rich Wigga, Poor Wigga. It's a black and white episode about a biracial kid named Aaron who's unable to afford college, but to his luck, a millionaire named Robert S. Lee is offering to pay for every graduating senior's tuition.
Who's black?
It's a really funny critique on what exactly we constitute as blackness, as well as struggling to find your own identity by not emulating stereotypical features of what's associated with black culture. These are themes that Glover resonates with heavily from personal experience being an unconventional black creative and something he's toyed with in several episodes previously.
Listen, I want to give you some advice. Play your part. They want you to be the asshole. You're a rapper. That's your job.
Season 3's premiere, 3 Slaps, is an episode based on the true story of the Hart family murders, where a same-sex couple adopts a kid named Laquarius. They seem well-meaning on the surface, but we see them slowly start to reveal their true colors. From an outburst on their undercooked food, lying to Child Protective Services, and eventually attempting to drive off a bridge with all of the kids inside. Obviously, this couple is insane, but the thing that stands out to me is that in their own weird way, this was their idea of helping these poor black kids. They genuinely believe that what they're doing is morally correct and the world just kind of lets it slide. It's a great commentary on some people's need to align with the black community while being ignorant on how exactly they would help, which only causes more harm than good. People trying their best to understand these issues but seemingly always coming to the wrong conclusions is a primary focus in this show. Just in this case, it's from the lens of a little kid instead of our main characters. Atlanta has always struck that sweet spot between providing genuine social commentary while maintaining this alluring atmosphere that you just can't find on other shows. Having these anthology episodes placed in between the events of the main story only adds to that allure, creating a sense of confusion but fascination as to what you just watched, almost like a fever dream. I think when we look back decades from now on the series as a whole, these are the episodes that'll stand the test of time. I understand how some can view them as a hindrance, but I think they elevate the show and its surrealist vision to a level above what we've seen in mainstream television. I truly commend the creators for sticking to their vision, using their platform to give us these black fairy tales, and most importantly, for giving us that goofy documentary. Thanks for watching.